What's up? It's your boy, the Black Andy Cap. We're back. Week 5, college football in the books. All right, man. Great weekend of college football. Started off with that big upset. I don't know. Was it big? It felt like a big upset with Virginia beating Florida State. If you haven't caught that, I've already run my episode on that one. Check it out. But then it went on, right? Bama took down Georgia. What else did we have out there? Penn State goes down to Oregon, right? We've had, we saw a bunch of good teams. Tennessee ekes out a win over Mississippi State, right? And Ole Miss, they stay alive. They get the big W. So a lot going on, right? A lot going on. Indiana continues to do what it has to do, right? So some teams we're not used to hearing are jumping up into the flex zone, right? So we had some ranked teams take the L, unranked teams kind of muscle their way up. So great week 5 of college football. This season is playing out to be awesome. Different. It feels like NIL and the money is starting to settle in. And so we're starting to see what the landscape of college football is going to look like now that we're in this new era of college football, right? And so I had a buddy of mine says he loves this much better than the BCS area because now everybody has a chance, right? Everybody has a chance to get in, and if they can get the talent and they can get a few wins, right? Obviously, some teams have a better chance than others. If you're in the SEC or Big Ten, you're going to get a better opportunity, even if you're not a conference champion, as compared to some of the smaller conferences, right? Even if you're in the Big 12, right? The team who finishes 3rd or 4th in the Big 12 probably doesn't have the same opportunity to make the CFP as the team who finishes 3rd or 4th in the Big 10 or the SEC. That notwithstanding, there's a lot going on, and things are kind of fleshing out as how this is going to be moving forward. So, but it's fun to watch. It's great to watch, actually, as a college football fan. You've got to love the competition, the parity. So after week 5, what are some things we learned about college football? So I thought about it. Here's three things I learned about college football after week 5. Thing number 1, they told us a college football playoff with too many teams would make the regular season irrelevant. Nothing could be more wrong, okay? Because that Virginia win over Florida State, very relevant. But it also makes the Florida State game versus Miami even more relevant, right, for Florida State fans, because they got to win. They got to get a big win to get back in the mix, right? Because if they lose to Miami, even if they beat everybody else on the schedule, will it be enough to sneak them in to the CFP, right? But just like I was just talking about here in the intro coming into this video, right? If you're in the Big 10 or the SEC, those 2 losses might not hurt you the same way they're going to hurt a team from the Big 12 or the ACC, who, from my perspective, the ACC is the weakest of the P4 conferences, right? So Florida State, that this game coming up this week at Doak against Miami is huge, right? They win that and they can win out. They're in great shape, right? Going into the end of the season. But they don't win that game. Now it's looking tough because we don't know if even if they win out, the rest of their schedule, is it tough enough for them to get the attention of the CFP and make the playoff, right? Unless they go in and they win the ACC championship. And if you lose to Miami, then that starts to become an issue, right? Because now they might be on the outside looking in on the ACC championship game. So that myth that the college football playoff would make the regular season irrelevant, I don't know where that came from. It didn't make sense to me in the beginning. But that's definitely not true. Definitely not true. Thing number two, there are no dominant teams or conferences in college football right now. I don't think that's just this season. Right now, tell me, who's the best team in college football? Any team you say, right, outside of some extreme cases, you can make an argument for, right? Ohio State, yeah, we can make an argument for Ohio State. Oregon, we can make an argument for Oregon right now, right? Ole Miss, what we can make an argument, right? We can make an argument for Ole Miss right now. So right now, there's no dominant team or conference, right? We can't say, well, the Big Ten has all the best teams. We can't say that, right? The SEC, right, for a long time, everybody's like, well, the SEC is the best conference top to bottom. Can't make that argument right now, right? Bama just took down Georgia, all right? They went down there and took down Georgia in Georgia's house between the hedges. And you know how I felt about Bama. I didn't believe Bama's a great team. I still don't believe Bama's that good of a team. So what do you say? I'm saying Georgia ain't that good. That's what I'm telling you because I said it 2 weeks ago. The SEC isn't as strong as it used to be. So Florida State fans, stop clutching to that win over Bama. Like every Noles fan, oh, you didn't expect to see us beat Bama, see Bama beat Georgia. You didn't expect that. No, I didn't. But it don't mean that you're any better than you were when you got beat by UVA. All right? It just means you're clutching to that win because you're trying to hang on to the reputation of Bama. All right? You act like you won the Natty or it was a CFP or conference championship. No. Right? We don't even know if Bama's going to play in the SEC championship. We don't know anything right now, right? Well, we don't know if, you don't know if they're not that good, and neither is Georgia. But I said this 2 weeks ago. The SEC isn't the conference that it used to be. All right? So no dominant teams, no dominant conference in football. I like that situation. Like I said before, a buddy of mine texted me. I love it. I love the fact that there's so much parity in college football now. And why is that? Well, that's because of the NIL deals, right? It's a combination of NIL and the transfer portal, right? Or not even the transfer portal, the transfer rules. The fact that you don't have to sit out and the fact that you can transfer, right? Unlimited numbers of times. So now I can go look for the best deal. And my buddy said it best. He was like, yeah, right, I can go sit the bench at Bama or I can go someplace else, get paid more money and play and have an impact every Saturday, right? And so it's not even I can go to a smaller school, right? I don't have to go from Bama to, like Kent State. No, I can go from Bama to Ole Miss. I can go from Bama, Mississippi State, for example, right? And I can have an impact. I can play on a big stage. I can play in games that matter. So this combination of NIL with the money has made it sweet because now I can poach 2 or 3 players, get my team good enough if I'm recruiting well enough from the high school ranks, right? And you're in great shape. And so it's created all kinds of parity. You got to love it. The third thing I learned from week 5, the third thing I learned about college football from week 5 is coaching has taken on a whole new complexion, right? Before, to be a great head coach, you had to be great at some aspect of the game, right? You had to be a great defensive mind. You had to be a great offensive mind, right? Saban was a great defensive mind, right? Kiffin, right, at Ole Miss, he was a great offensive mind. And so, people wanted to find him, right? Malzahn was a great offensive mind. And so he went and got a head coaching job, right? He was head coach at Auburn, and he became head coach at UCF because he was great at some aspect of the game or on one side of the ball. That doesn't work anymore, right? What it has to be now is you got to be a great GM. You've got to maintain a system. You got to be good with working with your players, right? You've got to be good at working the portal. You got to be good at keeping the players on your roster there. And you still got to recruit, right? That was the big deal, right? To be a great coach, you had to be great at some aspect of the game. You had to be a great recruiter. Now, you don't have to be such a great recruiter. You got to be a guy who can convince people that they want to come play for you, right? At least for one season while they have eligibility. Now, I do believe being a great recruiter is important because I think you need that foundation to build off of, right? You can't build your whole team on the portal. That's what Coach Deion Sanders is trying to do at Colorado, and it isn't working. You've got to get you a foundation of some good, solid talent. You're going to lose some of that talent, but you're going to keep most of it. Most schools are keeping most of their talent. Yeah, they might lose a 4 or 5 star guy, but they can go into Portland and replace that 4 and 5 star guy. Go see Tennessee, right? They lost their 5-star guy QB. What happened? They replaced him, and they're looking decent right now. So the whole thing about looking for a coach, what do I need to get in a head coach? Things have changed now, right? Now that coach has to be more than just a guy who's good at some aspect of college football. He's got to be a GM, right? He's got to be a good manager. He's got to be able to attract the right types of assistant coaches because those are going to be the guys who are going to get you over the hump. Right, look at what's happening in college football, right? I look at Florida State and Mike Norvell, right? Mike gave up most of his day-to-day coaching duties. He went and hired Gus Malzahn. Malzahn didn't want to deal with the day-to-day duties of being a head coach, right? he didn't want to be a head coach. He wanted to be in the guts of it and be out there at practice day to day. What we're discovering is you can't be that guy. You can't be that guy that's the head of the whole program and have your hands in the guts of a program out there every day trying to look at film, because you got to be busy. You got to be looking for the next portal guy. You got to be judging talent like a GM. So the role of a college head coach in college football has totally changed. So interesting to see. Interesting to see how NIL and the whole transfer portal is playing out and how it's kind of settling in and how college football is going to work moving forward. It's much more like, like people said it, you've taken away it's turned into a program. Yeah, that's the case, bro. Everybody got to make their bread. Sorry, if you don't like players making money, too bad, so sad, bro. But if I got a kid out there getting beat up every Saturday and the school's making billions off of a TV contract and the coach is making, $60 million, like Deion's making $50 million, over 5 years, right? You got all these dudes making money. I'm out there getting beat over the head for nothing. Nah, I want my shorty making that bread, and that's how it is. We just got to deal with it, dog. It's called America. It's called capitalism. Everybody gets a cut of the pie. That's how we do it out here. Players understood their role and their importance, and they took advantage of it, and here we are, all right? So anyway, tell me what you think. Get down in the comments. Like, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you next time. Peace.